Hey guys, it's Spacey Sims, and we are back with more Virche Epic Lycoris, continuing Eve's encore story thing. So, we were with Anko, who found Capucine digging up the dead bodies. Well, digging up the drifter. I feel like this did happen, though. I feel like this has happened before. I don't know if it was in Eve's route, because you know what I mean? And I don't remember being imprisoned by Cyan in Eve's route. I really don't remember any of that. And like most of the stuff that happens that's like, oh, okay, I remember this is like deja vu. You're like, I feel like we read something similar to that. I don't remember any of that. Like at all. And I'm like, am I crazy? This is familiar. Maybe not. I don't remember if I know. I don't know if I remember Anko trying to create antibodies by eating the flowers. It seems vaguely familiar, but maybe I'm just misremembering and being like, yeah, okay, sure. I do remember someone digging up the drifter body and stealing, like, the, like, journal or whatever was buried with him. And I thought in Eve's route, we actually found the journal, but, like, in another route, this kind of thing happened. So I don't remember where it was, but this vaguely seems familiar. But like some of the other stuff doesn't. So I don't know if we've been repeating the last like whole entire chapter, like the last 2 hours was all 100% repeat. I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, Anko, Capucine, that thing going on here. This is the worst. He knew. Cyan Brophies knew everything. Now that he understood the nature of Spacey's unique genes, he'd no doubt try to experiment on her. Well, yeah. And again, this feels familiar, like Cyan trying to experiment on me, and maybe it wasn't Eve's route, because there was one where I'm like, yeah, no, okay, you can bury me alive in the field or some crazy shit and my clones and all of that and whatever. Like, maybe that was Eve's route that happened. I remember that happening. It seems like, and like, maybe it was because didn't Eve, like, come to visit us while we were like buried alive, like you could see our hair growing up in the field. Like you buried me, except for you left my hair sticking up, something weird like that. And you were like, oh, it just seems disturbing. Like, was that his route? I don't know. Anyway, I won't let him. I could still make it if I could recover them both before his experiments were carried out. Ugh. Suddenly, something sharp ran through my back. With how deep the wound was, I knew immediately it was from a blade. Isn't it Lucas? Doesn't Lucas kill Anko? To not say, isn't that exactly what fucking happened? Like when we were getting toward like, and that's how we ended up burning to death in the field. Didn't we escape? And then we like, because of all the experiments he did, we died in the field. Like, am I now remembering? Like maybe all of this is 100% duplicate. We've done this all before. Okay. Well, hey, bastard. I could hardly feel the pain. I immediately took out the dagger, readied my gun, and fired. The bullet that was supposed to pierce through Capucine's brain burst forth and was split in two by the swing of a blade. The only person that could do this is Lucas. The halves dropped harmlessly into the Lycoris field. I stood there dumbfounded at what just happened, and there I saw... Yep. Well, a Lucas clone, if not actually Lucas, but the terrible murderer who was a threat to even the Watchman of Death himself. I quickly took sight of my target and pointed my gun at the greater danger in the area, but... Oh, before my finger could pull the trigger, the heaviest blade in the country cut my body in half. Didn't we at one point have, like, Anko's head? Like, didn't we? Didn't we have Anko's head somewhere? Again, was it this one? Like, don't we escape it? Was it Eve and I that escape and live in like Anko's like fucking thing with his head? Am I making shit up? Do I remember this shit, or am I just like, wasn't there a thing where we had Anko's head? We're like, we'll just keep his head because we couldn't find his body. crazy? I feel like I'm having like a fever dream. I feel like I'm on drugs sometimes when I play this and I'm like, is that what really happened? Do I remember this right? Or like, and I'm pretty sure that happened. Again, I don't remember whose route, but it's starting to feel like it was this one now, you know? So Onko's in pieces. All right, well, he ain't dead though. He just doesn't have a body. What is that? It smells very perfumey. Why does it smell like that? That was odd. He shouldn't smell like that. We didn't clean it or doing anything. Huh. You could breathe okay, right? It's not you. You smell good, though. You do. A few hours later, only one came back. Oh. Who are we right now? I thought we were just us. I wasn't paying attention. Anyway, only one came back. When Capucine arrived drenched in blood, he caused a stir among the guards. Having returned from his task, he was locked in a cell once again. I feel like I wouldn't know that. A book was delivered to the lab we were in. And Eve, who was normally in his own isolated room, was brought to the lab to sort out the situation. These are the remains that the minister retrieved from the Noir's graves. Cyan thanked the guard and took the old book, which had writing in a language I had never seen before. I'm assuming Russ then, okay, because like this makes more sense. Cyan began reading through it at an unbelievable speed, copying what was in the book into his database. Huh, just as I thought. What was written in the book from my family's grave? Don't be so hasty, Karoon. But for helping me catch on to the truth, you might certainly be the hero who ends up saving this country. With your life, of course. Now I can smell you. You smell good, but at the same time, you're also a little damp, and the damp part of you smells funky. Birds don't smell nice when they're damp. Your neck smells nice because that wasn't wet. Maiden of Death, you're a manifestation of the Lycoris flowers. A unique existence that possesses both human and Lycoris traits. And I'm sorry for the weird noise. That was the bird attacking the microphone. With that ability, your body houses the elements of what curses this land. You are death as proven by science. My prediction came true, and my true identity was confirmed. My true identity? Why do the people of this country reach their end by their 23rd year? Why is she known as death? I shall name this unique condition Error Virche. A genetic disorder caused by the toxins in the earth infecting the 23 chromosomes. Genetic disorder, a mutation in chromosomes and the DNA sequence. But I'm like pretty fucking sure that you can't just like delete them one after and like I don't know anything about genes and chromosomes or anything like that, but I'm pretty sure you can't just delete a bunch of them and still function. You know what I mean? And like analysis of Karoon's blood sample proved that the genes outside this country were starkly different from ours. I still lack the details, but apparently this toxin was unnatural and had proven quite potent. So potent was it that it mutated the genes of humans when it first appeared hundreds of years ago. What that meant was descendants also inherited these mutated genes across generations. How did this play upon our supposed curse? Eve Noir's blood proved that the mutated genes caused an abnormal effect when they bound with oxygen in the toxin. To be exact, the effect encroached upon the 23 chromosomes of humans, killing one pair every year, and after again, by the time when you only have 2 pairs, I feel like I don't think that's how I don't know, but I just feel like that seems like, again, we're not supposed to get involved in the science and be like, whoa, you're like, okay. This led to the impairment of the human function of cell division and eventual death. Well, that was the true identity of what everyone attributed to the curse. Toxin was the soil. The toxin in the soil eroded the human body and destroyed their genes. This effect began the moment a person was born and took their first breath. In other words, it was an inescapable curse, and why wouldn't it affect you in the womb? Because your mother's breathing, and then you're in, see, Right. Don't get hung up on how it doesn't make sense. There's a lot more shit in this that doesn't make sense, but that you're like, fantasy, I can blah, but then when you try to put science into it, you can't, like, you gotta make it sound plausible, you know? But again, we gotta get past the ho-hokum that they're spewing at us.
Humans could escape this curse only if they were born outside of the country. The Drifter used the fact that he was an abnormality to plant Lycoris noirs all over the island. As for why the Lycoris noirs were black, they absorbed the toxins in the soil. Of course, if a flower that had built up those toxins were cut, the toxins would be released and affect one's chromosomes, leading to death. This was the truth behind the flowers of misfortune. And you were born with the blessing of the Lycorises, Maiden of Death. She was born where her parents' genes were unstable and in a field of Lycorises that absorbed the toxins within the area. Her birth was immediately followed by the mutation of her genes. In other words, it was from the Lycorises that she gained the function of allelepathy? Allelepathy?
Allelepathy? Is that what it is? I never could remember how to pronounce that or figure it out. Anyway,
which only plants could acquire.
Allelepathy, I think. I'm sure that's wrong, but anyway. A unique effect of certain plants, such as Lycorises, that allows them to absorb certain compounds from the soil and air to resist harmful pests and bacteria.
And this is the reason you're a manifestation of the Lycoris flowers, a unique existence that possesses both human and Lycoris traits. But that means you carry within you an abnormal amount of toxins from the soil, far more than a normal person. When she absorbed toxins beyond her limit, it was released in the form of a pheromone. Those who absorbed her pheromones for a prolonged period began to die by 23. The curse alone was not the only threat.
I mean, that's actually not really true, though. Those who absorbed her pheromones began to die by 23. That's not true, though. The flowers also have the toxins, and people are dying because of the poison in the soil. I'm just accelerating it. So that statement, like, oh, people who absorbed her pheromones died by 23. No, because then people who have never even met me are still dying. You know what I mean? I'm just accelerating it because I carry the toxins like the flowers do. But it's the same thing as if when you cut down the flower, you absorb more of the toxins are released and then you die immediately, basically, because you're overwhelmed by the toxins. The people born on this say she never existed or was never around, they would still die in 23 years because the toxins in the environment, the flowers can't process it and get rid of it. Like, that's the whole point. You know what I mean? So, like, it's not me that's killing them within 23 years. That's just generally what's happening. I'm accelerating it. So, like, the phrasing on that was kind of fucking wrong. Cyan, I expect you to know what the fuck you're talking about. 23 minutes, maybe? Those dudes were perfectly fine and they dropped dead 2 seconds after meeting me, and so I'm just saying.
The curse alone wasn't the only threat.
Yeah, I am.
The fire from 7 years ago occurred due to the flammability of the toxin. There were also numerous memory crashes. The hacking weakened others' memory banks to the point that the toxins she spread had an adverse effect on their bodies.
Oh, okay, alright, no, bullshit game. You're trying to sit there and be like, because the clones were hacked, so when we put people into their new bodies, like Hugo, he was in a hacked body, so it's in a weakened state, so you being around him, the toxins affected him faster, and that's why he clawed his heart out. Not because he was really in love with Eve and was mad at you for trying to take his boyfriend. Whatever game, fuck you. You cannot rewrite our fucking fanship here, okay? Because, like, I'm pretty sure a majority of us are like, nuh-uh, Hugo was totally in love with Eve and has nothing to do with it. Like, no. He didn't have a memory crash because we released toxins into the air. He had a memory crash because he's in love with Eve. Stop it. Don't try to rewrite our fucking history. Trying to cover your ass. Psh, bullshit, I'm not buying it. That is the most unbelievable part of this game. The hokum science is nothing compared to you trying to convince me that Hugo died because of, like, overexposure to toxins and not because, well, his memory crashed because he was in love with Eve and he just couldn't handle it anymore. Like, come on. Whatever. I'm sure, like, the weakened clone thing didn't help the case, but it wasn't because of me. Well, it was because of me, but, like, also not. Not because of my toxins, okay? It's because I was stealing his boyfriend. Shut up. Fight me, game. Fight me. I'll win. You're just a tiny little Switch cartridge. I can chuck you against the wall really hard. So, no, I'm not buying this. Oh, good lord.
One, Spacey is...
Not only metaphorically, but I really am the death who's taken the lives of this country's people? I was prepared for this truth to be proven, but I've been death ever since I was born. Not like any other human or Eve. Something completely different. I believed that at least my body would be similar to my beloved's. But now I was told that it was that very body which was touched so many times by his kindness was the cause of everything. I felt a renewed hatred toward my own existence. I touched him so many times with my own cursed body. Really? We missed that. You cut that out. You could have left that in the game. I'm just kidding.
Huh. What are you talking about? On the point of being something different from the people of Arpachel, you and Karun are the same.
Huh? Oh, I think I'm starting to get it. So, after just a short while, even someone ventilated like the lab. Even somewhere ventilated. I was like, someone? Somewhere ventilated like the lab. If anyone from Arbishal spent time with you, their chromosomes are already being infected, means they'd certainly die. Dot referred back to the horrible sight of the prisoners. In fact, an Arbishal citizen not dying would be strange. In other words, you two really are different beings from the rest of us. And I'm sure you have a clue of who might... No, wait. And I'm sure you have a clue who might have those kinds of abnormal traits, right? Well, no, okay, wait. Oh, yeah, no, was it in this route? Because in one of them, I just remembered they said who has the abnormal traits. But, there was one route where Anko ended up in the lab, and the only part of him we could save was his head. And that's why we ran away with his head, right? Was it in Eve's route? Man, again, it feels like a fever dream when you talk about this shit. I slowly turned around, guided by Dahut. Eve had a look of being in serious thought. Even while being tainted with the toxins I spread, he stood there as the sole survivor. Eve, is there something you know about this?
On the past, my grandpa told me something right before he passed away. But maybe I'd be able to live life just a little longer than the age of 23.
And we know Adolphe does.
Back then, I had no idea what he could have been talking about, but...
Maybe it was in the La Salute route, you know what I mean? Or is it La Salute? Whatever. And maybe it's in that route that with the Anko pieces and we had this head. I don't remember. I just remember there was one where we ended up with his head. Head in a jar. And I don't, like, see, all the endings are kind of jumbled, but, like, if you put them together in one epic, crazy ending, Jesus. Did I read that back then? I had no idea what he's talking about, but anyway. I was at a loss for words. Then, Eve, are you... Cyan gave a deep laugh before explaining the true meaning behind why he called us his test subjects. It was for a possible future that Eve himself hadn't even considered.
Though the connection may be weak, you still have the genetics of the Drifter, which not only means you'll live a full life, but you're the only person in the country who can live past 23. Were it not for what was proven here, you would have found yourself living past 24 or 25.
If that were true, I wondered if he would have been happy with his lifespan after being with me for so long. Or... Sorry, buddy.
Well, so long as there isn't an emergency, I'll be taking my time to experiment on each of you. Not the most. How long do you think it'll take? Half a year at minimum. It's a large-scale experiment, after all. Do what you need to do now so you don't regret anything later. Let's go, Dahut. Be sure to assign guards to them later.
Right, understood. I assumed he wanted to go back to his office right away to plan for the experiment. Cyan left the lab as he activated some controls from his hand. The only ones left were me and Eve. I didn't know how to feel after the surge of information and the terrible truth. Like, he just leaves us with all this equipment. Like, he doesn't think we're gonna, start poking buttons and unplugging shit. You don't know what we're gonna do. We're probably not, because we're both like fucking labradoodles, so. Eve collapsed to the ground as if he lost all his strength. Eve! Fearing something was wrong with him, I panicked and grabbed onto his arm.
So in the end, instead of proving you were just a normal girl, I ended up creating the opportunity to shove the exact opposite truth onto you.
Eve's face was both smiling and troubled as he began to blame himself for what happened. It's not your fault, Eve. I'm the one who didn't see myself for who I really was. I'm the cause of everything. The one who wanted to stay by your side. Your burns and Hugo's death, too. I'm the cause. I'm the one who ruined your life. I killed your brother. You said lover wrong, but that's okay.
Still, being from the Virche family, it's still the truth that I was the one who forced this despair onto you. If it weren't for me, you'd have been able to live your life as a normal human, just like the family you loved so much. To think I can't protect the life or the heart of the girl I love. What am I even doing?
We were at a stalemate. Both of us felt guilty toward each other, unwilling to give in. Why? He was blaming the wrong person. If there was 100 people standing here, all I would say was I was the cause of everything. Oh, all would say I was the cause of everything. You've done nothing wrong, Eve. I knew it was pointless, but I had to say it. Because I'm just scared. Eve was so kind. He was still trying to accept the person who was scientifically proven to be death. And I felt as if he'd let his life be consumed for someone else's sake. It was too late. Oh, it was far, far too late. I'd never been so upset by an opinion of Cyan Brophy's as before. Even though he was partially responsible for the twisted state of this country, his technology was what gave us time to fight the curse. He's responsible? I truly did respect him, and I decided to work as a subordinate until I used him for everything I need. But 6 months until the real experiment begins? He's gotta be kidding. That was the only opinion of his I couldn't accept. If we sit idly by for that long, Nadia will lose her brother. His already short lifespan had been cut even shorter from the toxin space he produced. We had to get started on removing the curse immediately or I wouldn't make it in time. But since I'm unable to use Capacine right now, I'd be easily restrained if I'm working out in the open. However, if Lucas Prouse were to die while I was mulling over what to do like this...
Hey, guess what? The other day my brother showed me how to make pretty flower crowns. So be sure to tell me right away if your research goes well, okay? I'll make you lots of crowns to celebrate your victory.
I feared that smile might disappear. I worked deep in thought as I separated the various medicines at my feet. In this water? What came to mind, second to Cyan Brophy's, was the desperate plan meant for this country. This was ridiculous, but I already knew long ago that I was crazy. Whatever the case, we need to eliminate most people from the country. That's just gonna happen sooner than planned. Though I won't necessarily be unaffected. Now that Capacine had been captured, it was only a matter of time before I was found out as well. In that case, before that happened, And, like, I don't think even in Eve... Well, I don't... Actually, we did Eve's route later on in the game. Before Adolphe and everything like that. But I don't know if they revealed Dahut as the mastermind in all of this. So this would all be new. Because I don't think in Eve's route you knew about Dahut. You know what I mean? I think that was like the end reveal where you were like, what? You know what I mean? So, yeah. This would all be like a new aside. Because obviously, like, you've played the first game. So, I would hope. Even our science brophies, I'm gonna force you all to save this country whether you want to or not. This is different from what I planned, but it's time for the end of Arpachel, land of false immortality.
I wonder if Brother won't be coming to see me today either. The other doctors were also talking about how Dr. Campesine hasn't been to the hospital for a while now. I feel kinda lonely. No, everyone's busy. It would just bother them if I started acting selfish. Oh, right. Doesn't seem like I can fall asleep today. I'll practice making those crowns I promised Dahut. I hope he'll be happy to get one. What's that? It looks like it's far away. There's a pretty red light glowing.
And it ain't never pretty when it's a red light glowing, because it means something's on fire. Or aliens are coming, or it's the end of the world. At the same time, the night in Arpachel was enveloped in an eerie silence. Afraid of the mysterious deaths, the people stayed indoors at night, and they waited anxiously in fear of being executed, either by the girl they called Death or her loyal servant. However, there were those who also believed the exact opposite, who believed in their innocence. With pain coursing through his body, the Watchman of Death awoke. What came to sight gave him no indication of where he was, but... Oh, he's awake, and all his wounds really are closed up now. Insane! The wide eyes of a child peered curiously at his face. The thing is, since he's Adolphe, you'd think he'd recognize the fucking orphanage. Who are you? Forget about asking my name. You need to worry about yourself first. Hang on, I'm gonna call Mother. You better not get out of that bed. Oh, the little douche that is Milo, who yeah. Who just sort of later, you're like, well, I kind of understand why he hates us, and he's being a little bit of a douche, and maybe he wasn't that bad of a kid. But still, also kind of an asshole. He's an asshole. I kind of get it. Maybe he's not so bad. He's not Girl B, though. You know what I mean? Like, poor Girl B! It was Girl B, right? That we took to see Cyan, and then she died brutally murdered and hacked to pieces in the fucking orphanage. Like, and you're like, what the fuck? She didn't even get a name! So rude! After a stern warning to Unko, the seemingly familiar boy ran out of the room. After only a few seconds, the small footsteps brought with them much larger ones. What a relief! It seems you've woken up. I couldn't believe it when Milo brought you in with only the upper half of your body. So are there two Onkos now? Unko, about to call her by the name the children did, hurriedly covered his mouth. I like how they're trying to, like, hide this, at least, with Unko. They're like, sup, lady? You know what I mean? Because he recognizes her, obviously. Are they going to try to pretend that we don't know? I mean, they revealed Dahut, and I'm pretty sure they didn't reveal Dahut till later in the game than in Eve's route, because they're like, whatever, you know, but they're like, shh, pretend we don't know about Unko. Salome watched him and simply returned a gentle smile. Here. She lovingly handed a cup of hot milk to Unko on the bed. Really, Although it was wonderful of you to help someone injured, don't you remember you're forbidden from going out at night?
Well, I tried looking for Speezy in the daytime, but I didn't find her anywhere.
Look, and the kid's looking for us, so maybe, again, I thought I remember, like, in the beginning, you're like, stupid Milo, you're an asshole. I get why you suck, but you suck. And then later you're like, okay, maybe he's not so bad. Like, he brought it around, didn't he? Yeah, so, like, right now, you're like, okay, you're being a good kid. I understand why you're an asshole. Don't get me wrong. Doesn't make you not an asshole, but I get it. You're afraid, and you're a child.
I thought of a place I still hadn't looked yet.
Which was the flower field where you saw me hacked to pieces.
Yeah, I thought you were dead, but you were still breathing. It made me yell like crazy.
I apologize for that. This body is rather different from most others. After being attacked by someone who could have either been the real Boro or a fake, I mean valid, the real Lucas or a clone, Uncle lost consciousness and was saved by Milo. After being left alone, his body regenerated on its own. But in the end, neither of them could provide any information on how Spacey was being chased after. Was being chased after by the island's residents. Okay. That's the weird. Okay. Neither of them could provide any information how Spacey was being chased after by the island's residents. That's like two different sentences that don't quite work when you put them together like that. You know what I mean? On how Spacey was being chased by a. Like, I feel like there should be a comma there. Does it seem weird? Okay, I get what they're saying, but it just seems very odd. In that sense, this turn of events was a blessing. And by the way, young man, was there anyone in the field besides me? Perhaps another man with a white coat and narrow eyes?
No, I didn't see him. You were the only one collapsed there. Even though it was pitch black out, if he did have on white clothes, I'm sure I would have seen him.
So I'm assuming it's only like if you cut Anko in half like this, he's not a starfish. Do we have this analysis in the prior game? Because it feels very familiar right now. Where like, okay, only his head regenerates. So it's not two Ankos running around. But what if you split him in half down the middle? He has two heads. He'd have half a head. Would that end up being two Ankos? Can we test it for science? I'm sorry, Uncle, I love you, but I just feel like we need to... See, now I've turned into science. I spend too much time with that psychopath where I'm like, let's just split him in half down the middle. See what happens. And, like, if you split him in half down the middle, like, front side, you know what I mean? So, an eye on each side. Is that going to work? Or if you split him in half so his face is on one and the back of his head's the other one. You know what I mean? Latitudinally and longitudinally. And what happens if you split him in four then in his skull? Does it make four Ankos? And then what happens? What happens if you were to split him in two pieces and they both grew a new Anko and then you split those into four pieces? Would you have 8 Ankos? Like, because I'm just saying. This is the kind of shit that turns you into someone like Cyan who's just like, whatever, let's just put him in half and see what happens. Worst case, he doesn't regenerate. Whatever. Like, you know? I mean, oh my god. Oh, but like, why in the world did he not regenerate in the part where we took his head? Oh, is it just because he needed more time? Because, like, I'm just ahead and like there was something about that. I don't know. Or I'm ahead in a fucking case right now, but like this, he was cut in half, so he only had to regenerate half his body, so probably didn't take that long. You know? But, still, someone's gonna go in that field and find the bottom half of a man and be very confused where the other half went, and it's walking around normal like nothing ever happened. Like, bizarre. Anyway. I see. Damn it. I don't have any time to waste. He grit his teeth, losing the only source of information that knew of Spacey's current situation. So, would you care to explain why you were lying there dead? Oh, wait. Would you care to explain why you were lying dead there, Watchman of Death, if I could read? After watching over Anko for a moment, Salome finally asked the question even Milo was curious about. Judging by your injuries, you were certainly attacked, correct? So they know who he is? Okay, I don't remember things, so, okay. Is someone after your life? Please tell me what's going on. Well, as he was hesitating to answer, fire! The Lycoris fields along the shore are all ablaze! The quiet neighborhood suddenly erupted in a clamor of voices. Actually, that's a way to do it. Well, you know what? Okay, I don't remember. Obviously, I remember one of Eve's ending being we ended up in the field of flowers and then he burned to death. And, like, didn't we stay in the fire and die with him? Maybe I'm just making that part up. But I know, like, the fire burned to death and it was like, oh, well, there you go. We tried to kill him once when he was a kid and tried to burn him to death. And now we actually succeeded. No. We didn't try. Come on, that was an accident. But you know what I mean? Like, we burst the fields into flames. And it might have been because of, like, this path. Like, we were being used as a science experiment, blah, blah, blah. But I thought, and again, I know we've been in experiments before. We were locked up by Capucine and Lucas's route. So there was escaping there. And I'm pretty sure at the finale route, which was really Onco, like, the, like, Adolphe Onco kind of thing where you find out they're the same person, whatever. For realsies anyway. You know, we were escaping and that might be the one where we were carrying Anko's head in a jar type of a thing. But because maybe then we ended up in his with a bunch of people and it wasn't just us and him. I don't know. But so some of this is like, we know all this information, but it's different because I don't think we had it in Eve's route. I don't think they revealed Dahut there. The Dahut was going to actually blow the fuck up everything. Like, he had bombs, didn't he? So, like, this is almost tying back to Eve's ending where the field's on fire, but maybe this time we're not in it dying. You know what I mean? Dahut's responsible for this, so it's kind of like it is veering off, but also keeping true to, like, one of the endings in the game of, like, the field was on fire. Just so happened that we caused that fire, you know, from all of our enhanced emotions, whatever, and then Eve died in the and you know what I mean, so. The quiet neighborhood suddenly erupted in a clamor of voices. A fire? There wasn't one when I was there earlier. What did you do, Milo? I'm just kidding. It's not his fault. We should see what's going on out. No, don't open any windows. Uncle yelled loudly enough to kill a person as Salome went to open a window. Taking their place, Uncle himself rushed outside. He looked up at the sky to see the horizon bathed in red light. Several people gathered out of curiosity. I mean, these people... Okay, they're gonna blame me, like, for killing them. Like, oh my god, Maiden of Death, she goes around and people die. And then you know what happens when you, like, cut a flower or pick one of the flowers, right? And yet, when the field is on fire, you're like, well, let's gather around and see what's happening. And then you're gonna blame me for that? You people are fucking stupid. But this is literally... This is humanity right here. Human beings. Like, well, I mean, I know that I was, like, standing in the middle of the fire, but I don't understand why I got burned. It's gotta be someone else's fault. No, stupid. Oh, it must be the Maiden of Death's fault. I died because I was breathing in the toxins from the flowers that were on fire, because I know they release toxins when they're cut down, and obviously if they were on fire, they'd release My god, you people are so dumb. Ugh. This is America right here. These motherfuckers all going out jumping into the flames and wondering why they got burned and trying to blame someone else for it. Right there. Right there! Thank you very much! This is the state we live in! Oh, good god, why are people dumb? I mean, we all do stupid shit, but, like, the collective idiocy of the people here, it's like... Uncle got it, he was like, don't go outside! I mean, even Salome was gonna go outside, so genius thing. Well, she was probably gonna go outside and like, what the fuck is happening? But... several people gathered out of curiosity. The only one who knew they had no escape was Unco. No. If those fields burn, the country will... Because the toxins are being released into the air, and then also the flowers aren't going to siphon the toxins out of the soil, so worse. Then, from the shore came the ashes that were once Lycoris's. and with them an abnormal black mist. Yup. Well, I mean, was Todd really wrong? Todd, you definitely, it was like, well, it's survival of the fittest. The dumb ones are going to go out there breathing the toxins. I'm like, he's basically going to kill everybody, though, so, like, that's a little fucked up. He didn't even have a chance to shout for everyone to escape. Everywhere Uncle looked, flowers blossomed. Everyone who had breathed in the black mist sprouted blossoming flowers from their mouths. Such a poetic way to say they're gushing blood. What's happening? Why? Death disappeared from this town, so... No one answered the woman who stood there in a daze. Are they stupid? I'm pretty sure we all knew it was the flowers, right? I mean, I know that they don't know that it sucks the toxins out of there, but they know that the curse exists, and they know that if you pluck... They hate the flowers because they're the flowers of death and misfortune. So they know if you pluck a flower or cut the flowers down that you die faster. They know this. So again, these idiots are blaming me, who's far, far away, but she's not even here anymore. I don't understand. The flowers are on fire. What happens when you pluck them or cut them down? We get really sick and die instantly. That's why we hate the flowers. And they're on fire right now, so... It must be that girl's fault. Idiots. Oh, dear God. Oh, for fuck's sake. Anyway, no one answered the woman who stood there in a daze. I kind of don't feel bad for these people right now. I mean, I feel bad in, like, theory, because, like, what the fuck? This place is fucked up. It's not really their fault, but also, God, they're dumb. Those who vomited up blood turned into corpses only a few seconds later. Like, they're still gonna blame me when you're walked out in the... I mean, it's not really your own doing, but kind of your own doing, because you walked out and are inhaling this mist, and then you're gonna blame me for it? Like, okay, use your brain cells. Well, now they're all gonna die, so we don't have to worry about that anymore. The ground shook with screams. Uncle immediately knew what he had to do next. Cut yourself in half so there's 2 Onkos, so we have double the Onko power? Probably don't have time for that, to be fair. He ran back into the orphanage and locked the door as thoroughly as possible. Help me! Please let me in! Fuck you, dude! Everyone here's dying one after another! At this rate, I'll... He knew that the man behind the door collapsed like a doll, now dead. After making sure there was no one else on the doorstep... What's going on? Just what on earth is happening outside? I guess you could say the true form of death that curses this country just took everyone's lives. Uncle looked at Salome, who was holding the shoulders of a frightened Milo. You have to listen to me, Sister Salome. No matter what happens, you and the children must not leave the orphanage. It's not airtight in here, but to be fair, it's better than being out in the air. It's probably going to take a little bit harder for it to get in, but... No opening any windows either. The moment any air from outside gets in here, everyone in this orphanage, adult or child, will die a horrible death. His message was intimidating and silencing. Could even have been taken as a threat. I hope you fucking go close all the windows that might already be open. Unco's eyes were blood red, seeming as though they could curse someone to death. Yes, I understand. There'll be an issue with water and food, but we should be able to manage for a few days. Salome accepted his words without question. However, what are you going to do, Unco? The reason you're giving us such a warning is because you don't intend on staying here, right? I'm sorry, Bird, but, like, I love you, but if you could seriously stop trying to pull my sweater down to dig your goddamn dagger claws into my throat, that'd be preferred. Like, I prefer that. Thank you. I love you. But you go like this, and you go pull, 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 and then you dagger toes into my neck, and it kills me. You keep getting stuck on my sweater, too, and you should let me trim your toenails. Yeah, although I am hesitant to leave. Considering the bizarre turn of events, this couldn't have been a coincidence. Since the Noir's grave was dug up, someone associated with Scion Brophies must have delivered to him the book on botany. If so... I'm going to see if my princess has been involved in this turn of events somehow. Huh? Won't you die if you go outside? I was cut in half and regenerated! Kid! I mean, right question, but also stupid one. Theoretically, Milo ain't wrong asking, aren't you gonna die? I was cut in half. Yeah, true. Who do you think I am? And this body has overcome countless deaths in many forms. I'm not bound by the mortality of humans. A charming sound filled the room. Uncle was puzzled as he looked at Salome, seeing her hold a hand to her mouth to stifle a refined giggle. Is something the matter, Sister Salome? Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's just... I never thought you, of all people, would say something like that. Unbelievable. I suppose the only one who could laugh in a situation like this would be you. Wait. What did you just say? She knows. Does she know? It's strange. You look nothing like him. Is she looking? She's looking at his ear. Is it the earring or something? But something in my memory is certain that you were once my child. Salome gently held the Watchman of Death's cheeks in her hands and smiled at the possibility he could be her son. Oh, is she like thinking like her actual child? Like, she's thinking, you're the kid I gave birth to. No, but he is technically your son because it is a Dolphin, so. But that's kind of adorable. Like, oh, but like he knows her, but he doesn't? Oh. But Anko knows that he's a Dolphin, right? Like, I can't remember if he remembers. I thought he knew. I've forgotten almost everything about you, except for your name. After being so heartless, I have no right to be looked at with such kindness. Don't be silly. Whether once forgotten or even killed, a mother will always be a mother. Go on, and promise you'll come back with the other young ones. When you do, all 4 of us should have that meal that we weren't able to have. I'll even make that stew you always loved. What Uncle felt in Salome's voice was longing. It was like before. Her face looked exactly like it did in the past when she shouted at the children of God to give her son back. He made no promises he could not keep. He had decided that any vows he made would only be offered to Spacey. However, he'd make one exception now. I promise I will. Shouting back his reply, Uncle rushed out of the familiar orphanage. It's just funny because they're making it seem like she's like he's the son she gave birth to, but it's like he's not though. Not unless Adolphe's her actual son that we don't remember. She doesn't remember. At the stroke of midnight, the Institute's emergency alarm went off. Fearing what might have happened, Eve and I huddled together, trying to understand the situation. Dot rushed in with a look of panic. He's such a good little actor. He paid no mind to the messier-than-usual state of his lab coat from running this way. This is terrible. I don't know what's wrong with them, but the royal family, they've set fire to all the Lycoris fields on the island's coast. Because I control them. He shouted out the state of the matter as if it was the worst thing that could happen. You gotta give him credit for using them as puppets. The Lycoris fields?
It can't be. Did I think the curse and the deaths were caused by the Lycoris?
I mean... Well, they're not caused by the Lycoris. The Lycoris is the only thing that's actually keeping you alive at all. So... That or they wanted to get the upper hand on Cyan for discovering the importance of the Lycoris. How could they... Todd's like, actually, I did it just because I wanted Cyan to get his ass in gear and not wait 6 fucking months.
Lycorises aren't flowers of misfortune. They're flowers that seal away misfortune. What is happening?
Abe swallowed and looked up at images shared throughout the Institute of the situation unfolding outside.
The toxins the Lycorises were sealing away are going to spread all through our Pashel. It's so painful. So hard to breathe.
Okay, that's not fair. You can't kill Mathis and Jean. I mean, you're gonna, but I don't like it.
Master. No, that was the curse here. I vowed to myself to make sure he lived a full life. And what's happening in this country? I can't die. Not before reuniting with Rosalie.
Aw.
Spacey! Eve!
Adolphe's in prison? I don't remember that. Obviously it happened in Eve's route. If you're in prison in the Institute, you're safe.
Colorful ventilation systems connected to the outside. Lack of fresh air is better than dying. I've already put out a notice to the staff and guards not to go outside.
Right. Cyan had returned and understood the change in events more quickly than Dahat.
Cyan, is there anything we can do to help? I'll give you orders later. While I take the essential precautions, you go and sort this out. With him.
With that, Cyan operated some stone slates, and behind him, through the entrance, a few guards brought in a man in heavy shackles. I do love, though, that, Capucine's his bitch now. It's kind of fun. Dr. Capucine?
Why is the doctor here?
Well, it's a bit of a long story. But this man is Orty, who was involved in illegal research that the Society of Exorcists was conducting. Feeling awkward, Dahat scratched his cheek as he succinctly explained the past misdeeds of Dr. Capucine. Orty. Dr. Capucine, how could you do something so terrible?
Well, that's true, then we can't exactly relinquish him to the core. Well, we don't really have the time to question him about his sins now, right?
Right. Every minute, every second counts. According to Cyan, he's an underling who won't hurt to have around, so... As we're understaffed right now, we're gonna have him help deal with things here.
I'll never obey Cyan Broface.
But if we don't handle things quickly enough, you'll be dead too.
Right. We don't know how long we'll be able to hold out here at the Institute. We need to forget about enemies and allies. The only way to survive is through cooperation.
Of course I understand that. I refuse to die before I get my hands on my dream bride. Oh, right, God. Oh, you sick fuck. Bride? I don't know who he was talking about, but Capucine did seem willing to cooperate. Cyan must have given him access to the Institute's system, as screens appeared in front of Dahat and Capucine's hands. We have some information from Cyan. There's no mistake that it was the royal family who burned the Lycoris fields. Perhaps they've misunderstood and thought Broface's investigation into the Lycoris was because they could be used as test subjects on the curse, or they might have been convinced of such by someone else. I'm sure the royal guard soldiers that set the fires are silent corpses in the fields by now. According to these estimates, the density of the toxins is over 10 times greater than what Spacey might produce. If a normal person inhales that large amount, they'll die in in a single minute. No, and all the people in town... I think people in their homes would still be alive, but anyone outside or with an open window would be dead. No. Come to think of it, you manage the hospital, don't you, Orty? I suspect they're fine. Rooms for critically ill patients are strictly secured and prohibited from being opened at night. I see. It's good to know.
What can be done so there aren't any more victims?
I thought nothing at first, but if the fires could just be put out, the speed of the spread should decrease. Put the other way, if the fires continue and all the Lycorises across Arpachel are burned, any remaining survivors will eventually die as well. That would be the end of it all. It wouldn't take an invasion by a foreign country or a civil war, but a curse that would destroy Arpachel in the end. There's rain passing through everywhere but the east, so it'll extinguish the fire soon. But I suspect it'd be difficult to put out the fires that are spreading through the fields now. Anyone who tried getting close to put them out would die right away.
All we need are people and tons of water, and some way to unleash all of it across the burning fields.
There's more water than we need from the ocean. Could we pour that onto the fields?
No, we couldn't do that. Pouring seawater under the ground would damage the soil. We'd be unable to plant new Lycorises, and we'd all die early regardless.
But another large body of water is something
We do have.
Cyan, who had been taking care of urgent matters, rolled back his shoulders as he rejoined us.
The royal family told me there's a large waterway network under the island that's filled with medicine.
Oh, Dahut's like, whoops, been figured out.
Filled with medicine? Why would they do that? I don't have time to question them. The one thing I can say is that the medicine is inflammable and the compounds vaporize when exposed to a flame.
You can't possibly be suggesting we collect this medicinal water and extinguish the fields with it.
I never proposed such an idiotic plan so costly in time and energy. It's precisely the opposite. If we can't bring the water out, then we simply need to drop the Lycorises into it. I see. If we just need to do a portion of the Lycorises, that might be possible. And even if the fires can't be extinguished, it's better to move them underground instead of letting them burn on the surface.
So you can't bring the water to the earth. You're going to take the earth that's on fire and bring it underground? Are you going to blow it up? Because I'm kind of confused how this plan's going to work, but okay. But if we were to execute that plan, we'd need to break through the ground from both above and below. I'm sure it's impossible for even you to plant that many explosives, correct?
Not to worry. We already have the explosives we need. Right, Dahut?
Oh, it seems like Cyan kind of knows it. Already knew. Why are you asking Dahut that?
Don't worry about it. In any case, we have high-powered explosives. What's next?
He's finding a way to plant them. I feel like you already have them planted, but planting them through the underground network's a simple job anyone could do. The issue is, above ground, it's almost impossible to set them in the fields, right? Getting near Lycorises that have released their toxins would kill anyone. We all fell silent, unable to think of anything about the situation.
Let me get another way. If someone can manage to stay alive in the burning fields, it's possible it can work, right?
See, I mean, we died in the burning fields, but it wasn't because we were trying to put explosives in them. I don't think so, anyway. You know what I mean? I don't think this happened. Eve offered a possibility that sounded impossible. That's ridiculous. No normal person in Arpachel would be able to survive in a fog of toxins spreading across the island. Wait. I felt my spine freeze with fear at what Capucine said. No normal person from Arpachel could approach the Lycoris field. In that case,
how about someone from Arpachel who can live past 23 years?
See, Dahut, this is stupid. What were you trying to do with it? I mean, you're trying to, like, I can't remember his full plan. I mean, I knew he was going to kill a bunch of people, but Cyan wants to wait to experiment on us for 6 months. That's not good enough because you want the experiment to happen sooner so that you can save Lucas because that'll make Nadia happy. So you decide that you're going to light the fields on fire. I'm sorry, puppeteer the royal family into doing it so that a bunch of people die so that then Eve goes and burns to death in a fiery field? Because I'm just saying, he might be able to live past 23, but I don't think he's, like, inflammable. He's still fleshy and meaty and, like, gut sacks. He's still person. He's not he's still gonna burn. You know what I mean? So I'm not really sure Dahut thought this through. was like, well, a bunch of people will die, and then it'll be fine, and then he'll start his thing, and like, you know, sooner it's like, well, now what you wanted, Eve is gonna go die in the flames, dumbass. Did you think this through? I don't think you thought this through. I don't know how that would have been part of your plan, you know? But I can't remember his plan, so. Anyway. No, you can't do this! Knowing what he was about to say, I grabbed Eve's hand with all my strength. Even if your genes do have a resistance to the toxins, it's not as if it has no effect on you at all. Also fire. Your chromosomes are just affected more slowly than others. You've already been weakened because of me, so if you go in the middle of the toxins now in your condition...
Yeah, it's true I might die, but...
Eve gently held my hands and lowered them.
At this rate, all the people we care for will die. I've been through so much pain. But I don't want my homeland to become a true land of death.
Then I'll go with you. You don't have to go alone. We'll die alone together, but not really alone.
That won't work. With your...
Allelopathy? Whatever it is.
You won't even last a minute.
I felt so helpless. I couldn't even save those who were burning at this very moment. Why did I have to suffer as the incarnation of the Lycoris? As someone with allelopathy? God, I can't. Even at a time like this, all I can do is kill others. My vision narrowed in my frustration as everyone accepted that Eve would be heading into the field alone.
If that's decided, then I'll hurry and collect the explosives. Let's set them in the eastern fields where the fire's strongest. What's most important here is that we break the foundation. We should only need a few planted around the field to get it done.
He seems totally okay with Eve going and doing this. I can't imagine this was part of your plan.
We move out in 3 minutes. Be sure you're ready, Karun. Right.
The end. Okay, I mean, I'm actually kind of confused. We still have so many fucking choices left to make. So, like, he can't possibly die. So, it's going to be a little different than... I feel like that was that the despair ending? Because that could not have possibly been, like, the salvation end. I don't remember. I really don't. I remember dying in the field in the fire. Like, that. I remember that. I'm like, I don't remember any other ending. So, like... And these obviously start the main ending, because like with Mathis, as we saw, like we already knew we had been experimented on in the basement. He had a different personality. And then it kind of just went in a different direction, sorta. You know what I mean? So, I mean, some of the stuff I definitely feel like it's changed, because I don't think we ever knew in Eve's route. No, because we did... I think we did Cyan before we did Eve, but we did him before Adolphe and everything. So, like, and I didn't think we found out about Dahut till way later at the end of the game. That was, like, the big, huge game ending twist. You know what I mean? So I don't think we knew about any of that. Like, Cyan using us as lab experiments and stuff like that probably still happened, because I feel like that's familiar. But then again, he might have done that in so many other routes, too. But, like, so some of this is very similar, because, I mean, the fields were on fire, but I'm pretty sure that was our fault. So this might be all drastically different now, or, like, you know, whatever. But I just can't imagine how this is Dahut's plan, and how this is, I don't know. And we probably have a bunch of choices, because didn't we have bad endings from this in Mathis's route? And yet we're, like, 3 hours in, and I'm like, we've only made, like, 2 choices. So, like, huh. Anyway, well, we'll continue. We'll see what happens. So I will see you next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.